Hello, everybody. Welcome. You are listening to the Queen Quaymo podcast. Today is Sunday, February 25th, 2018. And thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all. We in this bitch once again, baby. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you. I want to take the time one more time to thank everybody in the Midwest and all my listeners and subscribers. All right, that's enough clapping. Shit. Trying to work this special effects stuff, y'all. I'm still trying to figure it out. Y'all gonna have to give me time, baby, because before now I ain't never recorded nothing except on the Just For Me tape. I ain't never had equipment, so I'm still a little ghetto fabulous. But shout out to my uncle for this shit, man. This changing the game, baby. Yeah, so y'all know normally I do not do podcast episodes on the weekend. I just do not. That's usually my day to kind of relax, rejuvenate, look up topics, and kind of catch up on the shows I've been wanting to watch. Like, one of the shows I love watching right now is How to Get Away with Murder. That's my shit. I love How to Get Away with Murder. I love watching Black Mirror. I love watching Forensic Files. All of that crime shit, how to get away with crimes and how to figure out who did it. Them my type of shows. So, yeah. Today is typically the day I normally do that if I'm not working. I like to catch up on my shows, but you know, my goal this week was to get 7 podcast episodes done, and this will be my 6th episode this week. And later on today, I have a special interview that I'm doing, so that will put me at number 7. So I'm always trying to keep those goals in mind and accomplish them and scratch them up off of that list, baby, because they ain't gonna accomplish themselves, you know. So today, I just wanted to talk about something that's been weighing heavy on my mind and heart, and that's fear. You know, I recently just moved back to Indiana, and one of the things that I always like battle with, believe it or not, is fear. You know, like, and I'm sure it's a lot of people listening that battle with fear as well. Like, you want to start your own business, but you're scared of how you're gonna be broke in the beginning. You want to go back to school, but you're scared of how hard it's gonna be. You wanna do certain things, but you're scared you may lose friends in the process. You want to be yourself, but you know the people around you don't like the real you. And I'm here to tell y'all, you know what? We gotta understand what fear is, and we gotta be balanced about it. Nobody should be just living a life in fear all the time, because fear just it really overall just stops you from being successful and being positive. You know, it's okay to have fear, because as human beings, we all fear something. But I just feel like some of these fears that we have, we need to see why we fear those things. Because fear, the definition of fear is supposed to, it's a feeling that's that's induced by danger, or if we feel like something is going to threaten us, so then we have fear. And so, why should you have fear for something that could potentially increase your day of living, or increase your revenue, or it could make you a better person? So some of these things that we fear, we should try to like make a list of our fears and try to see why we are fearing these things, try to self-evaluate. And that's something that I personally had to do. And what initially started me to doing that is just the experiences I started going through. You know, man, I'm 28 years old. I'm starting over from scratch all over again. I'm just now figuring out what my purpose is in life. And for a lot of times, I could have been already doing a lot of these things that I'm doing right now. It's just I was overwhelmed with fear. And fear, ultimately, what it does is just gives you anxiety. You start feeling like you just can't do certain things, you know. And so, like, for example, I used to always fear driving. I remember I used to drive from Elkhart, Indiana to Westville. I used to drive from there to Westville. And for me, that was a far drive. I used to be like, oh, man, I don't want to drive there by myself, because I was going to the prisons at the time. So I used to try to find people to ride with me, because I used to hate driving by myself, thinking that's far, you know. Now, at the time, I was like 18, you know. So over time, though, you know, I kept going to the prisons. And then the same people that used to go with me wasn't going with me. So I ended up having to ride by myself. And so I became more comfortable. I'm like, okay, there's only an hour drive. I could do an hour drive by myself. Later in life, I ended up moving back to Gary. Same thing. I'm like, man, it's a nice little drive. I moved. I moved from Elkhart to Gary, put all my stuff in the car. I drove. I'm scared to drive. Man, that's only like an hour drive. I'm scared. But again, I got comfortable doing that drive. Did that shit, So then when I moved to Colorado to Indiana is like a 17-hour drive. It's really 15 hours, but when you taking your stops and all that, it's going to be about between a good 17 to 22 hours if you do it straight. So when I was moving back down this way, I was trying to get everybody to go with me. I'm like trying to find people to jump in this car with me. And it was because I feared that something was going to happen to me. I thought about all of the stuff that could go wrong while I'm on this road by myself. And so I end up not having nobody to drive with me. I end up not having anybody ride with me. So I end up having to, drive by myself. And I'm so happy I did that because that was a long drive by myself. But I did a lot of thinking and praying and just, I really started conquering fears right then and there because, it was like, here it is. I was so scared to get in this car thinking about everything that was going wrong or that could go wrong if I just jump in this car by myself. And then what ended up happening, I jumped in that car by myself and I made it here safely by myself. And it was at that point I was like, you know what? I need to stop being so scared to do things. I need to just start doing them. And that's initially been my attitude since I came back home. You know what? If don't nobody want to do stuff with me, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to stop being scared to do things alone. I'm going to have to, if I said that I want to like really be an example for my people, sometimes you got to stand alone and you got to stand on your feet 10 toes down, no matter who's with you and who's not with you. And I still have a strong support team. Like I said, I have good friends. I have good family that's in my life. But if you can't stand on your own 2 feet and you can't look yourself in the mirror and you can't get up and go when it's time for you to get up and go, then that's something that you need to try to figure out why. Why are you so afraid to do things alone? And so, yeah, that was one of the things that I had to conquer, like just trying to do things alone and also trying to step out of my comfort zones. Like even with jobs, I always done CNA work. I was always scared to do different jobs. I ended up getting a job at corporate America or whatever. Like it was just like an entry level. You see what I'm saying? And I learned a lot of things, but it just wasn't for me. But I'll get into that story another day. But I am happy that I decided to change out of that box because it opened my mind to try to do different things. And so that's all that I'm saying is sometimes we be so scared about the what ifs when really we need to think about the positive what ifs. Stop thinking about things that could go wrong. Think about, well, if you don't do this, what's going to change? If you don't do this, what's going to happen positive in your life? Sometimes you gotta put one foot in front of the other and do something that just makes you be uncomfortable. Because guess what? If you don't do it, sometimes the universe will do it for you. You will be scared to do something. You'll be scared to take that move. Like for example, I say you scared to move. And I'm just using this as an example that it just happened. You scared to move. Then your city get flooded. Now you don't got no choice but to move because they make you move. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you might be scared to do something. The universe going to do it regardless. So that's why we need to be proactive in making moves and steps that we need to do for ourselves. And, just for like a lot of different reasons, like it's just not natural to have too much fear. Number one, having too much fear, it changes your organ functions and it in your metabolic functions. Like for example, how you start getting so scared, you just feel that shit in your stomach just start hurting, you start getting headaches, you be all worked up, you be getting anxiety, so your heart beating up fast, then you get too scared, sometimes you get goosebumps. That's just not natural. You see what I'm saying? However, it is putting some energy into your body. So, fear ain't nothing but energy. Fear ain't nothing but energy. And I'm going to tell you, like, I'm going to explain that to y'all. Sometimes the best strength that you could ever have is when you scared. Like, I know y'all done seen people on the news lifting up cars and shit. They was so scared they stopped the car, or they was so scared they jumped up real high in the air. That's energy. So take that fear that you have, transfer it into energy, and transfer that energy into action. That's all it boiled down to. And that's something that I'm telling y'all, this stuff that I be having to do for myself. If y'all only knew half of the shit that I really, really be going through, I'm saving it for my book. I ain't gonna tell y'all everything. But man, I done been through it in my little 28 years of life. 28 years. And so what I learned is, though, that sometimes you can't have that focus on what's going on wrong in your life. You got to figure out what could happen right. Because as black people, we've been struggling forever. So the struggle, that's normal to us. And that's what's fucked up. Like, a lot of times we scared to change. And the stuff we supposed to be scared of, we ain't scared of. You could be in the restaurant right now. Somebody could get to shooting. You gonna leave that restaurant after you make it alive. You gonna tell your homies about it, cracking up, finding something to laugh about it. That should be normal to us, to see somebody getting shot. It be normal to us to be poor. It be normal for us to be growing up in poverty. All of the stuff that we just see, that's normal to us. Most people that I know, like when I was in Colorado, them people was like, oh, this ghetto over there. I used to get so pissed off with them. I'm like, what is ghetto? They couldn't even explain to me what ghetto was, because here it is. They perception of ghetto is like middle class for what my perception of ghetto is, just because I done stayed in different places. I came from Gary and Elkhart, Indiana. We ain't had no mountains. We ain't sitting up here wearing these expensive ass shoes for everyday life and going on hiking trips and adventures, and half of us had never even really been on an airplane. And so it's just like what other people's perceptions is across the world just changed my own perception. And it wasn't until I started getting up and going somewhere that I started opening my eyes up to different things. So like, I want to encourage everybody listening today, like, just stop being so scared. Just take one thing, write a list of stuff, write a list of things that scare you. Write a list of things that scare you. And then as you write these lists of things that scare you, write down why they scare you. And not just, oh, I'm scared of lions, I'm scared of spiders. Okay, that's cool. No, like, for real things that scare you. Some people scared to get on airplanes. Why are you scared to get on an airplane? Don't you know, like, that's symbolic for you being a higher level in life? That plane, like, when you're in that airplane, you high. You as high as you can get. Can't nobody just knock you down off of your square unless that motherfucker plane, crash. But still, for me, like, when I get on the airplane, I get a sense of peace. And so for some people, they get anxiety and they like, man, I'm scared to get on the airplane. I'm scared to do this. But why are you scared to do this? And see, this is something else too. Our people, a lot of us been conditioned to be scared. Majority of us been conditioned to be scared. Like, we've been scared because we was taught this and this and that. We was what they told us. Like, for example, when you was little, your grandma, your mama would be like, y'all better come in here by the street lights come on, or you go because they, you told that after night all of this bad stuff gonna happen when you out too late at night, which sometimes is true. Sometimes stuff does happen to people late at night. Or you be in the store. Well, I do this to my nieces and nephews. We be up at the store. I be like, get your little ass over here for somebody snatch you up. So now my nieces and nephews be scared somebody gonna snatch them in the store. So they've been taught that their whole life. So a lot of that, and not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but like, some of the things we scared of, why are we so scared of them? And a lot of it is because we've been conditioned to fear. And that's been scientifically proven. Like, if y'all just get on Google sometime, look up the Little Albert experiment. And that's when they had the little baby. They conditioned him to fear white lab rats to the point where he was scared of all little white furry animals. He was scared of white rabbits. He was scared of white teddy bears. And then he was even scared of little white furry balls of cotton. And that's all because they did an experiment with him, trying to prove that you can condition people into fear. And that experiment took place in like 1920. You know what? I might play a little clip about it. As a matter of fact, I might do that right now. So let me go ahead and stop talking to put this clip right up on that. That might help out.
Part of the 20th century, psychologists John Watson and Rosalie Rayner set out to teach a baby boy called Little Albert to fear white rats using the principle of classical conditioning. This is a film of their work. The film shows several phases of their study. First, as you see here, the investigators demonstrated that prior to conditioning, Little Albert had no fears of any animals, including, of course, white rats. Teach Albert to fear white rats through classical conditioning. In the conditioning phase of the study, which was not filmed, the investigators struck a steel bar with a hammer whenever Albert reached for a rat, making a very loud noise that greatly upset and frightened Albert. After 6 such pairings of the loud noise and the rat, it was believed that the boy had been conditioned to fear white rats. That is, Albert was now expected to react fearfully to white rats, whether the rats were paired with loud noises or not. In this next film sequence, we see Albert interacting with a white rat after the conditioning process. The investigators believed that the child's reaction during this trial demonstrated his newly acquired fear of white rats. Finally, the investigators expected that little Albert's conditioned fear of white rats would generalize to stimuli that were similar in key ways to a white rat. In this film segment, they were trying to demonstrate that the child now also reacted fearfully to similar objects, such as a rabbit, a dog, a furry object, and a white mask worn by Watson himself.
Yes, you guys, that was a clip that I pulled up from YouTube about the little Albert experiment. You know Albert Einstein, y'all, my bad. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much typically though, like how we think today. As soon as we see something, we're associated with something that scares us, and before something even happens, we already scared. So it's time for us to retrain our thinking and stop having conditioned fear, where we just feel like that we have to be scared of certain things in order to stay comfortable. Because I'm here to tell you, like I said once before, sometimes you think that because you don't make any changes that you'll still remain comfortable. No, sometimes the universe will switch some shit around for you. So we need to confront those fears. We need to confront them. We always think that, like, when we're in danger, we need to run, we need to escape. As soon as you, like, for example, and I'm guilty of this, and shit, if somebody get to shooting right now or something, I'm going to get low to the ground, or I'm going to get the fuck up out of there. You hear a dog or something coming, you going to get the fuck up out of there. We take off. We take off. Like, that's our number one thing. That's our response to fear. We run. But sometimes you need to confront. You need to step in front of what is making you scared and confront it and see why is it scaring you. We need to confront before retreating. So, and Lauryn Hill actually said that. Matter of fact, she said that on her Unplugged CD. If anybody hasn't listened to that, take a listen to the Lauryn Hill Unplugged CD, MTV Unplugged. And she really was very transparent in that whole entire album, just talking about her journey and the different things that she didn't encounter along the way. And she talked about confronting the things that were making her scared. She confronted the enemy. And for most cases, the enemy, a lot of people think like the enemy is an actual enemy, a person. No, the enemy could be fear. The enemy could be procrastination. The enemy could be yourself. So those are the enemies that you need to confront and stop retreating from. Stop running from yourself. And even that, a lot of times, some of us, we have this persona of who we want to be, but we have never confronted who we are. And so confrontation is necessary for growth. We need to confront whatever it is that's stumbling us, that has us scared. And then the rest of the growth will come along the way. So I just think it's important for us to break those chains. You know, we need to really break those chains, because fear really has a lot of us in bondage, you know. And bondage is just not, that's not the way I want to live my life. That's not the way I want y'all to live y'all life. So the number one, whether we going to wake up and remove shackles from our brain and remove the shackles from being in poverty, we have to break them. And the best way to break them is confronting and acquiring knowledge, because sometimes the knowledge you acquire will help you overcome some of those fears, gain some understanding of what it is that has you so scared. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today, is fear. I don't have much of an angle about this, you know. Just hopefully those few little words that I said today can encourage somebody today to tackle whatever got them scared. You know, stop being scared to open your own business. Find out what steps you need to take to open your own business. Stop being scared to go back to school. If you need to go back to school, go ahead and go back, but make sure you're doing it for yourself. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure you understand what it is that you need done in your life, and don't be scared to do what you need to do for yourself, because that's a lot of times like what happens. We get so scared of what other people are going to think. Man, don't worry about what other people are going to think. You know, don't worry about that. The main thing is being fearless over accomplishing your own goals, your own personal goals. So if your own personal goal is to do something that others that don't understand, don't shrink back because of their lack of understanding. It is not for them to understand. This is your own vision. This is your own dream. These are your own goals that you have to accomplish. You know, for those of you who believe, say a prayer. Man, prayer is powerful. You feel me? Prayer is powerful. Speak things into existence. Don't speak negativity into your life. Speak positive things into your life. You know, this is another way to help us heal from fear, because fear really, it does cripple us. Who wants to be crippled by fear? I know I don't. I've been crippled by it, and I still have fears that I gotta tackle, and I got a whole list of things. When I told y'all about that list, I had to make that list myself. What scares me? What intimidates me? And some of the things that used to intimidate me don't intimidate me no more. I'm not scared to just get up to go. Now my fear is sitting down. My fear is sitting down. I feel like I don't have enough time to just sit down. And so that could be a bad thing and a good thing. So I need to balance that out. See why do I feel that way? You know, sometimes we always, like as humans, we can always find a reason. We could ask everybody else questions, but we forget to ask ourselves, like, why? Like, why do you want to do this? What do you want to do? Start asking yourselves some questions. Start getting clarity for yourselves. Stop trying to think you can fix everything that's going on with everybody else, and fix what's going on with yourself. And this is a note to myself, because sometimes I could be very critical, and I can see what's going on in the next person's eyes, but then I forget to take a look at my own life and evaluate it. You know, I'm not Superwoman. I'm not perfect, but I'm just transparent, and I'm letting y'all know that I'm using my life as an example. I'm using my own personal experience to help hopefully inspire others. So, I mean, I'm not perfect, and I still ain't even got shit. I ain't got much like most, but what I do have is experience. I done been through a whole lot of stuff, and if I can avoid somebody else for having some of the feelings that I didn't experience along the way, like fear, doubt, depression, lack of love, like all of these things that I went through my own self, I try to be honest about it, because I know that I'm not the only one that goes through this. I know I'm not the only one that have these same feelings and things that they face with. So don't give up, y'all. Your time is coming. Your time to come is now, baby. But you got to overcome them fears. And the best way to do it, make a list of what makes you scared and see why it makes you scared. Get some clarity, get some answers, confront these fears and remove them from your life. Speak positivity in your life right now, today. You feel me? It's your time to shine. Whatever you said that you're going to do, you're going to be able to do it. Speak that shit into existence. And that's all I'm on today. So I know I done said shit like this before. So I'm going to go ahead and end this young here episode about fears, you feel me? And I'm going to end it with a motivational clip. Hopefully it inspires y'all the way it inspired me. Tune in later on today or tomorrow for the next episode where I'm interviewing a young entrepreneur business owner, and she'll be telling her experience as well. So I'm really excited about the interview. That's one of my kinfolk, my skinfolk and kinfolk, you feel me? So thank y'all for listening to the Queen Quaymo podcast. Tune in later on.
There's a book called, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Just feel that fear and go on and confront it anyway. Repeat after me, please. I must see in my mind's eye. See myself. Confronting my fears. Handling my fears. I'm more than able. David Schwartz says action cures fear. See, when you take some action, when you start imagining the worst possible scenario and then you move on and do something, then that begins to ignite the death of fear in your life experience. As opposed to being immobilized by it, you are energized by it. If you accept yourself as you see yourself beyond your fears, then you don't accept yourself as a victim, but you begin to see that you are more important than any fear that you have, that you're more powerful than any fear that you have. What most people do is they make their fear more powerful than they are. They make their fear more powerful than their dreams are. And that's what you don't want to do. Don't make your fear more powerful than your dreams or your passion or whatever you want to begin to create in your life experience. You've got to make you and what you want more powerful. Eleanor Roosevelt said this. She said, I believe that anyone can conquer fear by first doing three things. Do it once to demonstrate, to prove to yourself that you can do it. Do it the second time to see whether or not you like it. And then do it again to see whether or not you want to keep on doing it. By the time you get to the third step, you're already through that fear and you've handled it most effectively. Here's something else I want you to look at in terms of fear. Begin to know and accept yourself as the person to do what it is that you want to do, and whatever you have to get past, if it's fear, if it's procrastination, whatever it is, that you're not going to allow that to stop you. That you're going to get past that, that you're going to move on, that you're going to confront that, that you're going to conquer that. Because what most people do is they hide out behind fear. See, if you don't see yourself as deserving what you want, you can hide out behind that fear. Use all kind of excuses to keep from venturing out into the real arena of life. Jack Reed said, when you realize that we are utilizing only a very small percentage of our potential, that thought itself can drive us past any fear.